If you're an artist or a creator in your 20s, here's 5 things that you should do right now to avoid big mistakes that I made in my 20s. The first thing is that you have to let yourself know that you got time, okay? There is no sense in trying to rush this process. When we're in our 20s, some of us think that life ends at 29. Like, I need to do everything that I want to do before the age of 29, and once I hit my 30s, I'm a loser if I didn't make anything happen. This is so far from the truth, man, because your 30s are when you really step into your power. Your 20s are for making mistakes and figuring stuff out. But if you rush through this process, you will make more mistakes. And when you're rushing, you will also not learn from the mistakes that you're making. So you will probably repeat mistakes. So that ends up making everything take longer. By rushing, you will effectively make things take longer. Instead, think of where you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Really come clear on that vision, and every day just take steps toward that vision. Don't feel like you need to rush through it. Have something set up so that you can survive and you can create at the same time, but stay focused on your vision. If you can, write it down, like tell it to yourself every day, and stay patient with it. Number 2, and this one might be brutal, but look at the people around you. Do they have the same type of motivation that you do? If you're an artist and a creator and you want to get yourself to a certain level, are the people around you going to help you get there? Or are they going to make it harder for you? The people around you are either assets or they're liabilities, whether it's friendships or people you're in a band with, or your partner, somebody that you're in a relationship with. If they are not supporting your vision, then they are going to bring it down. And this is going to mean you're gonna have to make some tough choices here. This doesn't mean you have to cut everybody off. I'm not saying cut everybody off and, wake up and read books and do push-ups. I'm not saying that. But I am saying you have to be wise with your time. When you're in your 20s and you're taking your time with things, you have to also be aware of when certain people are going to lead to bad habits, because those bad habits will compound over time. If you have people in your life that are always pulling for you to go out and party, or always pulling for you to play video games, or pulling for you to do this and that, they're pulling you away from your vision. You have to be aware of that. Right along with that, in my 20s, I wish somebody encouraged me to pick up a book. And this is the third thing. I was not really reading in my 20s. Once I got out of college, I was like, what can I do? I was jumping from job to job and running around playing music and stuff like that. You need to always be reading something. This is how you know you're effectively getting better. All right. And I want you to take note of when people start recommending books to you, or if you're watching videos or something and you start to hear certain books get recommended. When things get recommended and they're starting to get pulled into your field, into your path, they might be something that you want to take notice of. And if nothing has been recommended with you to this point, let me be the first one to recommend a book. This is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. This is a really easy read, and it's chock full of so much wisdom, inspiration, and anecdotes that artists really should know, should be telling themselves. It's just full of insights that are going to make you a better creator. The path to success is improving. Every day improving in some way, shape, or form. Yes, you can wake up and practice your drawing or practice your scales or stuff like that, but mentally, what are you doing to improve on yourself? And reading books is pretty much the best way to do it. Now, number 4 here, this is kind of a curveball, but I really wish I said yes to more experiences in my 20s. I think you should really consider saying yes anytime you have that opportunity to travel, to go somewhere. Don't just hibernate and be like, I need to work on my stuff. I need to work on my stuff. This might sound like a contradiction to what I've said before, but seriously, if there's an opportunity for you to get out of your environment and observe a new environment, that is going to pay dividends for you in ways that I can't even describe. Because every time you take yourself out of your normal routine, you effectively have an opportunity for you to change your self-image. You can change who you are, because when you go to a different environment, nobody knows you there, so you can be whoever you want. I took a solo trip to Austin, Texas, and I didn't know anybody there, and that was the opportunity for me to be like, I got a clean slate here. I can start talking to people and doing things. Nobody knows where I come from or who I am. I can be a version of myself that I want to be. And then when I went back home, I tried my best to start incorporating that version of me that I wanted to be with the version of me that I am habitually used to. And that, again, is putting me on this path to always getting better. Also, side note story here, there was one day many years ago where I had the opportunity to go to this dive bar punk show. And the punk show started at 1 o'clock in the morning, okay? And I was tired. I worked all day. I was really like, am I about to go to Brooklyn to see this punk show? I don't know if I have the energy, but my friend was already out there, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna go. And when I went out there to see this band, who is there but Julian Casablancas, okay? And this is the singer and songwriter for The Strokes. He has a record label, such a big figure in New York music. And I got the chance to hang out with him that night. I talked to him about music, and it was one of the coolest memories that I have of being in New York. And I was that close to missing it entirely because I was too tired. So again, this is my lesson to you. Try not to be too tired and say yes to new experiences. All right, number 5 here, this is the last one, and this is probably the one that will impact you the most, is I really wish in my 20s I confronted my negativity. So much of my 20s, I had negative anxiety and negative thoughts and stuff like that running in the background. And my way of coping with it was just to try to do more. If I can make myself useful, if I can be productive, if I can play shows, if I can write songs, if I can, do stuff, do more and more and more, that would alleviate and pretty much appease the negativity that I had going on in my head. And it doesn't work. It does not work, because that is your ego telling you to do more, do more, do more. You are effectively not good enough. And your ego will anchor you where you are until you make peace with it, until you address it. If you really want to start leveling up, you have to level up who you are. You have to level up your ego, because your ego is how you perceive yourself. You cannot outrun your shadow. And if your ego is a shadow that is always telling you about what's the opposite of the silver lining? The dark lining. If your ego is always downplaying your accomplishments, trying to make you feel realistic about what you're doing, it's something that is always bringing you down and anchoring you. And that was something that I didn't realize how much it was holding me back in my 20s until I got to my 30s and I got myself in therapy and I started reading books on positivity. And that's when I was like, holy crap, this has been holding me back from success. And it's pretty much the reason I'm starting this YouTube channel and I have this mentorship channel, because I feel like if you guys can learn my lesson, you'll be miles ahead of where I was. And lastly, before we go here, I just want to tell you that every successful artists at some point had to sober up. So if you're in a band or whatever, you know, the quicker you can sober up and get your head on straight and really take your creative work seriously, the more fruitful it will become. Every successful band goes through that period. Every successful artist goes through that period where they eventually realize that they need to just stay sober. You don't have to have that rock bottom moment to have this realization and this self-awareness. Try to sober up. That's my parting gift for you. And if you're on a quest right now and you're not in a good spot, you're somebody that constantly cycles into depressions, I want you to take a look at this video. These are like the top 3 triggers for depression, I think, with artists and creative people. So these are things that we have to be aware of, and I'm gonna break down what we can do to fight back against those things. And in this video, if you're on a quest to manifest, to become successful, take a look at this book here. This is Manifest Your Destiny by Wayne Dyer. This is something creative people need to be aware of, how to properly manifest success in their life. You have to believe in yourself. I will see you in these next videos. If you dig this video, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment if you have a question, and maybe I'll turn that into a video. All right, I'll see you in the next ones. Stay creative.